saya akan terbang dari Jakarta ke Istanbul. Istimewa karena naik kelas bisnis di wonderful, amazing. Baru masuk sudah ditawari minuman. Nah ini sedap. Ini boleh ngambil dua, saya ambil dua. Selain itu ini menunya dua. Tadi makannya pasti banyak. Kemudian dikasih ini perlengkapan audio, visual, nonton film, dan hiburan selama perjalanan. Dan ini kit bersihin. Sementara begitu, teman sekalian selamat sore. Saat ini pukul 17. Belum 17 ya. Pukul sekitar jam 5 sore di Rotterdam. Ya, saya pada hari ini mencoba perjalanan naik kereta api. Maunya keliling Eropa, tapi waktunya terbatas, jadi saya naik dari Belgia menuju Belanda, tepatnya dari kota Brussels menuju Amsterdam. Perjalanan dari Brussels ke Amsterdam itu ditempuh dalam waktu 2 jam 20 menit lah kira-kira. Jadi naik dari stasiun kereta api di kota Brussels, kemudian turun di Amsterdam. Nah saat ini perjalanan balik karena saya akan punya konferensi di Brussels. Jadi di sela-sela waktu saya mau menggunakan waktu itu. Sekarang perjalanan kembali dari Amsterdam menuju ke Brussels.
With those thoughts on India and to be followed by some things from Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Pepe and Anna, for having me in this very important project. So, departing from India, Indonesian case is very unique, and one point I would like to make is that when we talk about Indonesia culturally, we often say that Indonesia is Little India. So, this made up like the basic ingredient for religious and cultural diversity within Indonesian society. So we know that we know Indonesia is a multi-religious and multicultural country where we are archipelago, but then we have 1,000 ethnic group, 1,000 languages, 1,000 countries. But then in terms of religion, our constitution said that there are 6 religions being formally officially acknowledged by the government, and it is formally stated in our constitution. Those are Islam, Catholicism, Protestantism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Konghucu. The last one is Konghucu was only recently officiated during the administration of our Indonesian pluralist father named Abdurrahman Wahid. So he was a great scholar, being president, and in his presidency then he officiated or acknowledged Konghucu as one of the official religion in Indonesia. So again, this backdrop, we know Islam is a religion with majority of followers. But then when we talk about Islam in Indonesia, we cannot say it as Islam, but rather we have to say it Islams, which actually refer to the fact that Islam in Indonesia is very diverse. So in terms of religion, it's already diverse, but then in terms of Islam, within Islamic tradition itself, we can see so many orientation or even affiliation. For example, we see some traditionalist orientation in the practice of religion, which commonly features by the adoption or the incorporation of tradition into the practice of religion. And in this case, Hinduism, Buddhism, or Indian culture are adopted into this Muslim society, some part. So one scholar, the late Reclef from the Australian National University said that one point of traditionalist Islam is that it's like mystic synthesis. The Islam is only on the surface, but when you go deep into the substance, actually Hinduism and Buddhism. So, and then again this backdrop then come up like modernist tendency who try to seek for the purification of Islam within our modernist, and then so we see conservative tendency who tend to see Islam as it is. Islam is understood in the text, so no contextualization of Islam within society, and also fundamentalist group, which now we see the rise of Salafism. With, I think this is not only Indonesian case, but also part of global case everywhere in the Muslim world, or even in country where Muslims are coming for migration, for example. So then we can see Islam is a religion with major followers, but that can we say that Indonesian is Islamic State, and then we can say according to our history of colonization by the Dutch, for example. So the strengthening of Islamic identity was also contributed from years by Dutch colonization, because we believe that Dutch come to Indonesia with also religious motivation. So in order to support the struggle of Indonesian founding father, so religious identity was also used to motivate people for gaining the independence. But now, can we see that Indonesia is an Islamic state or religious state? So it is clear that Indonesia is not an Islamic state or a religion-based state, because our constitution say Indonesia is not a religion-based state nor secular. So referring to the identification or model of secularization that Tariq have offered, I think it's very important that maybe no single model is fully appropriate for Indonesian case, because in our case, secularism in Indonesia is not fully understood as the independence or separation between state and religion, but rather secularism is understood as entire religion. So if you are called a secular in Indonesian context, it doesn't mean that you separate religion and politics, but then you don't believe in religion. So that's why I said that from Tariq's models, maybe a model, some point of the model of certain model is important or appropriate, but another maybe not. So religion-based state is featured by a state has an official religion, but we can see Indonesia we have 6, Islam being majority, but Islamic law is not governing Indonesia as a national law. We see movement within Indonesian society in many regions to Islamize their law, but in national context we don't have Islamic law as the national system, although we have a specific law for Muslim. So for example, in terms of personal law or civil law, as a Muslim, Indonesian can choose between state law or Islamic law. And then we can see in terms of our current situation, the role of religion in the society. Religion is getting more and more prominence and significance in Indonesian society, not in terms of substance or the value, but rather than religion as identity. So the rise of Salafism recently in our Indonesian context actually taught us that more and more religious symbolism is becoming the project of many Muslim groups, regardless Islamic value are applied or not. So this is the recent situation that we have in Indonesia. I think so. My presentation and short discussion about Indonesian deep diversity of religion and how our current situation of religion take place in Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang waktu Eropa Barat ya, teman-teman semuanya. Selama beberapa hari ini saya mengikuti sebuah konferensi yang merupakan bagian dari sebuah proyek penelitian, merupakan konsorsium dari berbagai universitas. Misalnya ada European University Institute di Italia, ada Bristol University di United Kingdom, ada Jawaharlal Nehru University in India, ada sebuah universitas lagi di Turki, di mana-mana, dan Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang merupakan bagian dari konsorsium ini yang saya sendiri yang mewakili. Nah, yang menarik adalah kami semua berbicara tentang the phenomenon of religious resurgence di mana-mana tempat. Barangkali teman-teman berpikir bahwa penguatan identitas keagamaan dan katakanlah suka nggak suka dengan istilah ini, namanya radikalisme, itu seolah-olah hanya ada di Indonesia atau berkaitan dengan Islam saja. Tapi ternyata dari berbagai negara yang dipresentasikan oleh profesor-profesor ternama di kampus masing-masing yang berkumpul dalam konsorsium ini, kami mengetahui bahwa persoalan hubungan negara dan agama, persoalan hubungan masyarakat dan agama, persoalan bagaimana identitas agama itu diwujudkan, diekspresikan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari, itu terjadi di semua tempat, baik di Asia maupun di Eropa. Ada satu hal menarik yang ingin saya ceritakan adalah ada satu kawan dari Mesir tapi dia bekerja di United Kingdom di sebuah lembaga think tank. Dia bercerita tentang Islamic radicalism di Mesir dan around di Muslim world atau khususnya di sekitar Middle East and North Africa region. Yang menarik adalah ketika ada satu orang, kalau tidak salah itu dari Uni Eropa, yang wakil dari Uni Eropa yang datang di acara ini, bertanya, kenapa kamu menyebut radikalisme itu hanya dengan Islam? Padahal radikalisme itu ada di semua agama. Itu saya terkejut mendengarkan pernyataan itu karena muncul dari seorang pejabat Uni Eropa, yang artinya ternyata mulai ada bibit-bibit kesadaran di kalangan para pengambil kebijakan di level global bahwa radikalisme itu bukan masalah satu agama tertentu, tapi itu menjadi masalah bagi semua agama. Nah, ini pelajaran terpenting, salah satunya yang saya dapat dari konferensi. Saya kira begitu, terima kasih sudah menonton. Nanti kita sambung dengan pelajaran-pelajaran yang lain, mungkin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.